welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I am going to be sharing with you 3 ways to add some lovely felt to your projects. There are many other ways that you can do it, but these are the 3 basic ways that I think that you may have in your crafty arsenal. So to start with, I am going to be using some products, and I'm going to be using the Mega Alphabet. So I'm going to be using one of these. I'm going to be using some felt. I'm also going to be using the Best Mom stamp set and also this beautiful Sakura blossom, but I'm just going to be using the dies. So firstly, I'm going to take one of the Mega Alphabet dies. You can see that I have mine all secured together. I find this really easy, and they're all in alphabetical order, so it's easy for me to find the one that I want. I'm going to be using the M for this one, but you can use whatever letter you so wish to do. So once I have my letter, I'm then going to cut this out of some felt. So I'm just using some dark grey felt here, and I'm just going to cut around this so I can then run it through my die cutting machine. So I'm going to run that through. I've also run it through using some cardstock because it's all floppy and I want to add a little bit of some secureness behind it. So I'm going to add this on to my little piece that I have here. So I have 2 of the M's, and the first time I'm going to add some felt, I'm going to be using some double-sided tape. Now you want to use some really super double-sided tape because this is going to add a lot more adhesive down, and it's lots stronger than it would be just using a normal glue tape. So I do recommend using the super sticky tape for this. Once I have added that onto my M and removed all of the backing, I'm then going to add my little felt M on top. Now this is a little bit tricky, but it does fit in perfectly because we've used the same die for each of the pieces. So I'm just going to keep going with this until it's nicely secured on my M, and I then have a piece that is more sturdy than it would be if I just used the felt. So once I've done that, I'm then going to move on to adding a little bit of interest to this piece here. So what I've done is I've taken some strips of the felt, and I'm then adding a second way to add some felt onto your projects, and this time I'm using some felt glue. I'm sure normal PVA would work, but I find that this works really well, and it also sticks quickly and also dries quickly as well. So I'm using the lines on my grid that's on my cutting mat behind me just to make sure that my strips are all evenly placed and nice and straight. I'm not going to worry too much about them getting them too straight because it is felt, so it's going to wiggle a little bit, but that's just going to add a little bit more texture and interest to the finished design. So as you can see, I'm just using those lines and that glue to add a little bit of a line across the M, and then I'm going to snip off the ends. As you can see, I'm not going completely towards the ends of the M. We will figure that out later when this glue is nice and dry. So once I have all my strips in place, I'm going to move that to side and leave that to dry. I'm then going to take the Sakura blossom dies, and I'm going to cut these again out of some felt. So this time I have some pink felt, and I'm just going to cut a couple of these flowers. Now because we are going through felt, I find that adding that metal shim on the mini blossom really does work a treat, and it is really going to help those dies cut out perfectly, because felt's a little bit tricky at times, but with that play I do find that it helps a lot. So if it does bend, all you need to do is bend it in the other way, and that's going to make sure that that's really perfect to use again. So I'm going to cut a number of these to create the flowers. I'm then going to take a piece of green felt, and I'm going to cut out the center of the flowers as well as the leaves. Now I cut more of the leaves than necessary, but I do find that I will be able to use them on a different project. So I'm just going to run these through, and you need to be very careful with this centerpiece because it may tear a little because the felt is very delicate. Once I have all of my pieces cut, I'm then going to take my second way of adding the felt, which is the glue, and I'm just going to add the centers on with that glue. So as you can see, I have the 3 centers for the 3 smaller flowers. I only have one of the larger ones, and I'll layer that up with one of the smaller ones later on. So once I've added these into place, I'm just going to move this to the side, and then I'm going to work on a little panel. Now this panel is 4 1/4 and 5 1/2, and I just wanted to add a little bit of interest to the background. So all I've done is I've taken the large stamp from the Best Mom stamp set, and I'm just going to ink this up using the Morning Frost ink, and I'm just going to add a background all the way over, just kind of using a jigsaw technique just to get the whole background all covered with this beautiful design here. You could colour it if you wanted to, but I just wanted a really subtle background for my main image. I'm then going to move back to the M. Now this is nice and dry, and as you can see, all of those pieces that we had hanging over the sides, all we're going to do is going to turn this over and just trim them off. It's really easy to do and quite satisfying. I do like cutting through a little bit of felt. So once that's done, I'm just going to move that to the side, and I'm then going to take the panel that we've just stamped and I'm going to add this onto a white card base. I'm just using some Altenew tape glue for that. I'm then going to add some double-sided foam tape to my M to give it a little bit of depth and dimension onto this piece, and I'm just going to adhere it into place. Once this is done, I decided I wanted a little bit more of a sentiment, so I've took one from the Best Mom stamp set, and I'm just going to ink that up using some Obsidian and stamp that into place under that M. For the third way of adding some of the felt to your projects, it's the quintessential way, I think, and it's just using some of the hot glue. So I have a hot glue gun here, and I'm going to be quickly adding these in. The hot glue really does dry instantly, but you do need to be careful of your little fingers. So don't put your fingers in this glue, it is quite hot. So as you can see, I've placed the flowers down first into place, and then I'm just lifting the petals up so I can get the leaves in under it. It's really easy to do, just popping them in and then making sure that they're in the right place. And the glue does give you a little time just to wiggle things around before it does set. Also, if you do have things in places that you don't want, you can easily remove them and cover them over with another leaf if necessary. So I'm just going to add this final leaf in here, and then that is the card complete. I really do love how this turned out. It has so much texture about it, and it just feels beautiful. So we have the stripes, we have the back piece. So the back piece we used the double-sided tape. For the stripes we used the glue, and then to add the flowers we used the hot glue gun. So there's 3 different ways that you can add a touch of felt to your projects. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you like the techniques involved. If you do create a card inspired by this, it would be great if you do share. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye.